Our minds are so powerful that what we focus on reverberates through every aspect of our lives. So why not see what happens when we put our attention on all the good things people are doing? Join me for the good with Teresa G as we start a ripple effect by focusing on all the greatness in the world. It's been a while, has it not? It's been crazy. I mean, basically COVID, I think I am one of the people where it sort of just knocked me, at least knocked my goal of doing the podcast off for a while. I think this podcast is based on the good, right? And it was sort of hard to, I don't know, I went through a whole, evolutional thought process of like, well, gosh, I can't really think of anything. Like, I don't feel like telling everyone it's good while we're dealing with this huge issue. And that's sort of how I felt in the beginning. Like I was just like really internalizing it. I had quite a few podcasts that I'd recorded and I just didn't even feel inspired to release them. So yeah, it's been an interesting evolutional process for all of us, I believe. And for me, it's been not only a global and humanity, focusing on the global and humanity issues of this pandemic. And with that, we try as brain retrainers, we really don't want to be delving deeply into the news, right? So that was one thing I was super thankful for, because all that has come up and all of the conflict politically, ethically, and all these different things that have happened in humanity, and especially in the United States during the last 2 years, I would say, I think that before I wouldn't have been strong enough to not totally fall apart physically. And with that, though, I do have to tell you that during this whole like crazy 2 years, right before they closed down everything for the pandemic, I actually got super sick, but I have no COVID antibodies. So, but it was like, I don't know, a 4-6 week illness. And for those of you that have had COVID, I don't know, let me know if this is any of the symptoms you had. But first, it started off with like just pouring sweat in my bed. And the weird thing about all this is that I was still functioning. I just didn't feel right. So I'm like pouring sweat in my bed. My daughter was having like on and off temperatures, which is weird for her because she rarely has temperatures. And then I started getting like horrific stomach pains that would keep me up all night. And so I went to go get my blood work, and I had all this like off blood work. My liver was off, my pancreas, which has never been off before, right? And then I got a horrific cough that lasted for quite a few weeks. So that's sort of how we started off the pandemic. I was in a healing mode, and I had been struggling with like sinus issues for over a year. And then they came back full force that summer after the lockdown. And we realized that we had mold in the room that we sleep in. So we basically, this whole time period has been a huge clearing of a lot of things, but even physically, because we basically, we've lived in the same house for 20 years. We moved in here as babies, and we basically just took everything out of the house. And I really haven't brought anything back in. We didn't remodel the kitchen, but we remodeled the whole rest of the house. We pulled out like all the carpets, put in all new flooring, painted all the walls, put in new tiles in the bathrooms. And so it was like a cleansing period, which feels absolutely amazing. And I've sort of gone off the deep end with that because I hesitate to bring anything back in the house And my husband's like, well, we need it to be comfy. And I'm like, it's good. It's good. It's nice and open and empty. So that was one thing that happened for us during this whole process. And then, there was a lot of evolving with the whole all the political stuff America's been dealing with. For me, I evolved quite deeply. And I think I'll talk about that sometime in a show, but honestly, I don't know that it's really worthy of this podcast, but I'm going to sort of reframe it into a story about finding the good in it all. And then I will present it to you guys. I don't know how you guys feel, but I feel like I personally am evolving, like my evolving process is now moving so fast. It's like a speed of light. I am just have changed I have grown so much in the last 2 years, and I have evolved so much so that I have changed my opinions, I have changed my ideals, and I have sat back and recognized that those are constantly moving. And so I really don't need to hold on to them in a place of, there's just been so much conflict in general, at least in the United States, and so many different things. And after the last 2 years, I've really recognized that there is no need to have conflict about these things, because my mind and my perception is evolving at a speed of light. So what I believe to be true today, I might not believe is true tomorrow. And so the judgment and the anger and those sort of things, the sadness that has come up for a lot of Americans, including myself, for what other people believe, is no longer there, because I know I'm evolving so fast, and I am thinking that everyone else is evolving so fast too. And it's more now about the soul conversations for me, and the respect that you have when you are conversing soul to soul. And it doesn't matter if I agree with what I see going on in our world today with that soul's perception. What really matters is that I see that soul, and that there is a deep, deep respect for that soul. And so, yes, our community has gotten smaller in this realization, because when you choose to speak soul to soul, you have a higher standard in communicating, right? So if someone is going to be very aggressive and disrespectful, it's not that there is a judgment. I have no judgment for them, but I no longer want that in my sphere, right? Because my sphere, I work so hard to keep it in a place of enlightenment and respect and journeying. So we are moving, we are evolving together. And so to have anything in your life that is constantly bringing you down or holding you back or beating you down goes against that moving forward. So yes, our sphere has gotten smaller, but I will say that it's not because of disagreements, because we have so many people that believe so many different things in our sphere. But the bottom line is there is that complete respect, that soul to soul respect. So that's one thing that my husband and I have definitely learned during this last year and a half, 2 years, which I'm very thankful for. I'm very thankful for. Yeah. So excuse this noise. My little buffer, I don't even know what it's called. It goes over the mic, is falling off. So, another side note is I actually had to pull all of this podcasting equipment out of the shop, and it's all dusty, and it was just sort of symbolic. And I'm like checking to make sure everything's working because we're doing interviews this week. And I don't know. This is just so fun. And here we go. And I guess the last thing that I'm going to talk about today, and bear with me, this is really just like a warm up for me to show me I can still do this, is gratitude. The world is crazy. It definitely is. And I found myself waking up this morning. I'm like, oh, I got to do this and this and this. And then I switched my framework to, I get to do this. I get to get up today. I get to do all these things today, and they're going to be fun. And I'm excited for the opportunity that I can do all these things. And it's so true. And my husband and I and our family is going through some like pretty traumatic stuff right now. And there's been a lot of sadness and anger and sadness and grief. And today I re-changed that narrative in my brain to think about all of the things I'm thankful for in that situation. And all of a sudden, a huge cloud was lifted off of me. And so this week and today, I just want to leave you with the idea of, when you're feeling that darkness come to settle, find the lights in the darkness and gratitude. And it's amazing how all of a sudden the dark dissipates. I can't wait to talk to you guys. And I can't wait to share so many soul conversations with you coming up. And I'm also going to be doing some podcasts with just some stories of some really fascinating things that have happened to me in the last 2 years that I think I'm supposed to share. And I just want to thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited to be back, and we will be sitting down together again soon.
I'm Teresa Gabrielle, and you've been listening to The Good with Teresa G. You can follow The Good with Teresa G on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. If you haven't yet, go to the Apple Podcast and subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. Join me next week for another inspiring conversation. Thank you for listening.